Well, 6 months ago, we were standing in West London watching on in horror as Grenfell Tower burned. It was a high-rise residential building home to around 350 people, many of them social housing tenants. At the time, a woman described the still burning building to me as a crematorium, soon to be a cemetery. We now know that 71 people died in that fire, and it's since emerged that the residents had warned authorities that the building was a fire risk, but they say they were ignored. And even though an inquiry into the fire is going on in this building behind me here now, the residents say they're still being ignored. Flames engulfed London's Grenfell Tower in the middle of the night.
People are jumping off buildings, people are screaming, help me, help me, help me.
It was clear the loss of life was going to be catastrophic.
We could just see that help wasn't going to get there on time, and then everything went black with smoke.
Those trapped inside Grenfell Tower stood no chance against the heat and smoke. 71 people died, among them a stillborn baby. The survivors lost friends, family and their homes. Many were social housing tenants, and the council promised to find them new homes. But 6 months on, most of them are still living in hotels. Sid Ali lived on the 15th floor of the tower and says life in a hotel room is neither easy nor luxurious.
You haven't got your own cupboard. Your clothes, you have to be washed. It has to be washed outside. You're having breakfast every day outside. You're having a lunch every day outside. The dinner every day outside is not good.
Like many of the other survivors, the council has offered him a permanent home, but it's not suitable for him, his wife and their 10-year-old daughter.
Technically, it's not a two-bedroom flat. For me, it was a one-bedroom. They made it as two-bedroom, extra room, but which is so small, so it's like a box.
Justice for Grenfell! Blood, blood, blood on your hands!
Residents aren't just angry with the council for being slow to rehouse them. They've also accused authorities of long-term indifference towards social housing tenants and of ignoring their repeated warnings that the tower was a fire trap.
Oh, you political class, so servile to corporate power.
Hip-hop artist Lowkey wrote this song demanding justice for those who died.
Are we existing in a time bomb? We know that there are thousands of buildings in the country that are also caked in the same cladding. How many Grenfells are waiting to happen?
It's clear though that every single person in that building was a hero.
The blaze started in a fridge freezer in a 4th floor flat. It then spread quickly up external cladding on the building, which was only added to the tower in 2016, and experts believe it may have accelerated the speed at which the fire moved. Grenfell Tower has become a symbol of the great divide between the haves and have-nots in this country. It stands in one of the richest council areas in London. Just down the road are the multi-million-dollar mansions of Chelsea. But here at Grenfell Tower, there weren't even fire sprinklers. And that cladding recently added, well, it was a cheaper, more flammable version of the one recommended. The charred skeleton of Grenfell Tower still looms over the West London skyline, a visual reminder of pain, loss and social inequality. Eventually, what's left of the building will be covered up, but the experiences of the tower will be forever stamped on the lives of those who called it home and their relatives. Well, the inquiry going on in the building behind me is slated to go on well into 2018, if not even longer. So there's plenty more to learn about this tragedy. And to discuss it further, I am joined by Stephen McKenzie, one of the leading fire experts in this country, and also Yvette Williams, who is part of the victim advocacy group known as Justice for Grenfell. This fire, it spread so quickly. How did that happen?
Well, from the fire service press reports, we know that it started in a kitchen appliance, we believe the fridge, then rapidly moved to full compartment or flat fire spread. What then's happened, it's actually went into the external cladding system, then accelerated up the building. We still don't quite understand the dynamics of it. We are aware of the potential failure modes following the governmental tests and the sector tests, but we're not sure why this one got away.
And Yvette, let's talk about this inquiry that's going on at the moment. There's been a lot of discussion, pessimism even, that there won't be justice at the end of this inquiry. Why is that?
The people who should be at the heart of the inquiry and who the inquiry is for their voices are not being heard. It's not just about what the panel look like and with those additional people and what they might do. It's actually about who will make the decisions.
Do you feel that what we're doing here is we're going to find out what happened, how the fire happened, but perhaps no one will end up being held accountable?
What's going to be key here is the communication that was held at the local authority level. It's really important that we get that information because it's the underlying narrative and the decision makers that accumulate in what happened at Grenfell.
And this is touching on really the whole issue here, isn't it? That we have a community, social housing community, living in one of the richest boroughs in London, if not the world, who feel ignored.
Yeah, and the contempt that's always been shown for the north of the borough is, do you know what I mean? You can see that so clearly now, the whole world can see it. But the other thing that you need to know about the community in North Kensington is we have had so many fights over the years that we will not go away. So we're not going to give up this fight, and we're going to make sure if they are running a public inquiry and we get what we want, because otherwise we will not get justice.
Stephen, just back to you, the lessons that can be learnt from this particular fire. We know there are buildings with similar cladding here in the UK and right across the world. Do we need some sort of global building code here?
There are actually global building codes actually in place under the International Codes Council. We've also seen a massive proliferation of the adoption of UK building and fire safety standards across the globe. We're at a stage now where it's not only a UK problem, but it's across Europe and internationally. And we're actually behind on the learning process in comparison to the Middle East or Australia, who's actually committed to a 2-year and completed a 2-year inquiry process.
Thank you very much for your time, both of you, Stephen McKenzie and Yvette Williams there. So plenty of lessons to be learned here at this inquiry and also going forward put in place to perhaps try and stop another fire like this happening anywhere else in the world.